Nobody talks about this, but the whole Incredibles family in general actually might have lightning, fast, quick reflexes, or even light speed, because how Mr. Incredible dodged that laser beam from Jack Jack, but that's none of my business. Apparently, even a human babysitter can react to light or lasers, because the way the lasers react, act like actual lasers the way they deflect off mirrors. Apparently, even raccoons can react at the speed of light. If a raccoon, a babysitter, and Mr. Incredible can react to light speed stuff, I don't see no reason why the speedster of the family wouldn't be better than everybody in every way. So that would, by default, kind of mean his reflexes will be light speed or higher by default for him being the speedster of the group, honestly. But yeah, I'm talking about straight reflexes, not necessarily his running in a straight line type of speed. I mean, yeah, I know his dad has super speed, but if somebody like the dad can react to light speed stuff, apparently, what can Dash do? You know, just something to think about. In a world filled up with super beings left and right, one of the main characters of this series, Mr. Incredible himself, is considered pretty high up in the hierarchy when it comes to the powerhouses of this universe. I mean, he's pretty straightforward. Super durability, super strength. Let's get into it. Sure, Mr. Incredible went through his fair share of midlife crisis, but his powers are still the same. Whether you're young, old, in shape, not in shape, he's still got, based on this information about him in the movie lore, he still has mega strength, apparently, near invulnerability, blah, blah, blah. They personally have a person in the chair that makes them super suits. This is for Mr. Incredible as well. Fireproof, all that good stuff. Suits have a tracking device. He has a super high-tech car that can change modes. This is what he used to use back in his glory days during superheroing. It has a bunch of modes where it can do auto stuff like merge pursuit on its own, drive on its own, put on his outfits, shapeshift to blend in, ejectable seats, has a turbo mode, voice activation. It's like a Batmobile that you can control without even being next to it. It can blast missiles, transform into a boat. Let's talk about his incredible muscle to easily be able to lift up this many people with one arm. He throws men like they're pieces of paper. That's why lifting a sofa is no issue. It's proven he can lift a couple tons. Look at this little pole. We know cars can weigh a couple tons, and we see him lift it above his head. Proving this is nowhere near his limit, because when you can throw cars this far, it proves it. Look at the size of these pipes. He makes these logs look light. Trust me, this stuff is not light, and he's tossing it around, throwing this stuff like footballs. It's no wonder he has the raw power to rip trees out of the roots. When he was literally mind control, ripped this entire control panel. Syndrome, one of the smartest beings in this universe, gives us actual literal numbers on how strong he could possibly be. So we know as a bare minimum, he can at least lift 55 tons, which adds up with the stuff we see on screen. Because all these things we see him literally work out with are literally 30, 10 plus tons or more. Note these weights are not his max because he's doing this stuff for reps. Nobody lifts weights with their max weight. It just wouldn't make sense. Like this has to be over 100 tons or at least close to it. You could say this is a balancing and strength feat on how he can push all of this off with his leg power. We see him push this rudder of a cruise ship the other way. We see him sprint with all these trains on him at a pretty fast pace. More example of his leg power pushing this big thing right here. So we know as a bare minimum, he can lift quite a bit over 55 tons, but 55 tons is a bare minimum. That's a nice solid starting point. How much do you think this big crap weighs? Yeah, compared to his body. Notice how his body can be hit by a train, and he's strong enough to slow this big train down so these folk won't die. I mean, when droids like this struggle to pull him apart, it just makes his spine feel better. And it's implied in the past he's got shot with bullets and they don't affect him. Okay, there was these Omni droids that are pretty freaking big. You can see how big they are compared to cars and stuff. But then this thing is not small. I mean, you could argue stuff like this weighs more than the Omni droid, but we literally see him make this thing go another direction. I think a fair low ball to understand how much these things would have to weigh as a bare minimum, I would say bare minimally 1,000 tons. Low balling it, I don't think it could be any less than that, honestly. I mean, just to give you a visual, that military tanks are like 60 plus tons and can do this to cars and such, but this Omni droid makes cars look pathetically small even in comparison to tanks. Not to mention this material is so thick that it's harder and denser than normal steel, so it probably weighs more than what we're even estimating, because Mr. Incredible himself said,
"Can't stop it. The only thing hard enough to penetrate it is itself."
You're probably wondering, why does that matter? Well, it matters because I just want to give you an idea. This thing is solid steel. No telling how hard this Omni droid can strike, but this is like a lower tier, lesser weight Omni droid in this particular scan. We see him resisting the push of this Omni droid with his raw muscle. Then we see him toss it in the lava. Keep in mind that this Omni droid was hitting Violet's shield,
and he used his weight against Violet and he was able to break through. But Mr. Incredible was able to stop this 1,000-ton thing despite it looking this heavy and being bigger than the one I showed you previously. Yeah, I'm certain he can lift 1,000 tons, him pushing this weight off of him like this. And this kind of proves if he wanted to hit through his daughter's force field, he probably could. Violet can shield from stuff like this that literally blow away houses. And her shield is just durable to withstand all this. So yeah,
It's basically all but confirmed that Mr. Incredible could blow the house away with a single punch if he wanted to, based on the fact he can punch through his own daughter's shield with his raw power. I honestly think Mr. Incredible forgot that he was one of the rare beings to actually damage an Omnidroid. Like, he says nothing can damage it, but yet we see him do it when he was a little puffier, out of shape. So he's technically one of the few beings that's injured an actual Omnidroid.
This might sound crazy and a reach, but what if I told you he can punch with over 1,000 tons of force based on him being able to overpower this big 1,000-ton mech Omnidroid with his raw muscle? Because his punches are similar to the weight he can produce with his lifting. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure, this is a smaller Omnidroid, but he was able to punch with so much weight, he sent this Omnidroid flying. And if you give him a running start, he can tackle and do this to the Omnidroid and make it fall over. I don't know how much proof you need to say he can't hit with 1,000 tons of force. So when you see him punching through metal, all of this stuff just adds up. That's why he treats brick walls like butter, honestly. Now, there's something else you got to think about when it comes to this universe, when it comes to supers. There's implications out of all these supers in the world. There's an implication that Mr. Incredible is the highest in the hierarchy compared to every single super in this universe. It does get a bit tricky because a lot of supers have different powers and abilities. So what does it mean to be the highest? And like, does that mean who can hit the hardest? Who's the most versatile? Like, what do they mean? See, there was this super smart, super genius in this universe that was literally hunting down the supers with his inventions. His inventions were pretty strong. Is these things known as the Omnidroids I've been going over so far in this video. Like, he literally had different threat levels in this universe syndrome organizing the different supers. Like, somebody this low in the threat level was a 2.9. A lower tier Omnidroid was able to take this being on. This being known as Universal Man. This guy is the lowest on the threat level list, and look at his power on the power grid of this universe, indestructibility. They say he can alter his personal density from gases to near black hole density. Like, what? But these Omnidroids, a lower tier Mark 1 Omnidroid somehow took him out off screen. I would love to see how this happened off screen. Like, what? This low tier Omnidroid, times 1, like Mark 1, you see the number 1, yeah. There was even a point where they thought one of these Omnidroids had murdered Mr. Incredible, but it didn't. But like, this Omnidroid's way stronger than the one that killed that one that has black hole density shifting or whatever. And this is what Mr. Incredible did to this Omnidroid with his strength, even broke a piece of it off of it. Like, are they implying like planet busting like durability? Like, how did this Omnidroid even hurt it? Like, did he hurt him when he dropped his guard or something? Like, if he can change his density to black hole ranges, how did this guy even lose? Somebody make this make sense for me. On the grid, they say Mr. Incredible's durability is similar to this guy. Like, what are they trying to imply about Mr. Incredible's durability? Look at his threat level compared to Mr. Incredible's. You see what I mean? Like, keep note, there's some supers that actually got a win or two on some of these Omnidroids, but that's when he would upgrade them. As you can see, you see Mark 1, and you see how Syndrome would literally upgrade them. So they finally do defeat the hero. This is where the stuff kind of gets crazy. This guy's threat level is still lower than Mr. Incredible's, and this guy, this being, Hypershock, is one of the rare beings that actually messed up Omnidroid Mark III. Like, based on all his stuff, is lower than Mr. Incredible's stuff. He can create seismic wave generation, able to create earthquake-like disruptions, fist maximum 6 on the Richter scale. He beat a Mark III, but he lost to a Mark IV. His threat levels are 7.5. Mr. Incredible's is higher than a guy that can create seismic activity, guys. This guy lost to an Omnidroid Mark IV. Mr. Incredible defeated a Mark 8, and even while out of shape, Fat technically damaged it with his brute strength. Like, I'm not saying Mr. Incredible is as mighty as these Omnidroids, because he did kind of beat him with battle IQ and stuff, but the fact that the best of the best Omnidroid, the final design, the version 10, we literally see it smack Mr. Incredible and he stays conscious, straight hit by this Omnidroid, and stays conscious over and over again. For those that don't know how earthquakes and stuff work, an earthquake on this level that Hypershock can technically produce can damage, like can pretty much quake a whole block, a city block at least, or a couple blocks. Like, visually speaking, this is what he technically can do to a wide radius. Like, we never seen Mr. Incredible or this guy's fist clash or how their power output compares to each other, but like, they have two different powers, of course. Mr. Incredible being brute strength while his being earthquake generation. If they're trying to imply that Mr. Incredible can hit as hard as this guy can generate earthquake
earthquakes up to 6, that would be like Mr. Incredible can make a whole block or a couple blocks quake with the weight of his hits. If it's similar to this guy's, that would mean Mr. Incredible can make his own localized earthquakes and hit with over 10,000 tons of force if we to assume he can hit harder than everybody in this universe regardless of their power with his raw blunt strength or punching power. I mean, the threat levels and the fact that he lost to a weaker Omni Droid than Mr. Incredible speaks for itself.
I mean, honestly, depending on how you dissect and calculate it, there's calculations that would suggest that 6 on the Richter scale earthquakes produce more than just thousands of tons of force. I'm talking about even possibly in the 1 million tons of force type power, or even greater, like depending on how you calculate the 6 on the Richter scale type earthquakes and stuff. And that would kind of make Mr. Incredible look more impressive. Do you think the weight of Mr. Incredible's punch can produce 1 million plus tons of force? If we were to assume somebody that can create earthquakes like this was to put all this power in his fist, and Mr. Incredible's fist would have to clash with his fist. If we assume their power would clash and Mr. Incredible could overpower his punch despite him being able to generate that kind of energy with earthquake generation, that would imply Mr. Incredible is way stronger than we originally thought, and Mr. Incredible can punch with millions of tons of force instead. Yes, there is a conversation to be had about Mr. Incredible possibly being able to tremble certain smaller sized mountains.
This guy got a higher threat level than this guy, somebody that can produce a 6.0 on the Richter scale. So what do you think Mr. Incredible can do with his strength? I mean, Mr. Incredible is a higher threat level than beings that literally have gravity control. His strength has to be scarier than their like gravity manipulation and stuff. You know what I mean? But anyway, this being that has a threat level of 7.9, who's still lower than Mr. Incredible, Gamma Jack, legit has controlled radiation bursts. He can completely disintegrate you. I mean, his finger probably could bust down buildings. You're probably thinking, let's just speed blitz him. Let's just say it's not that simple. He got reflexes. This might have been aim dodging, but it looks like he avoided lightning here. Do you think he's the mightiest super in the universe?
A world with a lot of different supers. Each superhero having their own different versatile abilities. The character I want to go over today is one of them. One of the main characters, the mom of the group, Mrs. Incredible, or one could say Elastigirl. Elastigirl in her younger days ended up getting her own family when she met Mr. Incredible. Let's analyze her. She's a stretchy type of character, so her super suit is made for her ability perfectly to be able to stretch like her, and could take crazy stuff like missiles and bullets, fire resistant. Her suits improved with the times because she got a new super suit to where it even had a camera so people can see what she's doing. She even got her own superpowered takey bike. It can do crazy stuff like this. Let's just say she's like this universe version of Luffy and Mr. Fantastic. So she has the common weakness of real cold. She can't stretch without shattering. In her lore, it says she can stretch up to 300 feet. She's one of those characters where she's hard to fight because she can hit you from so far away. Like how she hit both these beings and can get ultra thin. We've actually seen examples of her getting flat to avoid danger. We've seen her shapeshift to a whole bunch of different things, like a glider, a rubber band to launch herself, trampoline, working together with her kids while Dash is basically the engine. She's basically like a boat. She may not specialize in raw strength, but she can literally stop stuff way bigger than her by making herself into like a giant parachute type thing. If she knows how to use the physics of the air on the planet right, she can kind of glide or just fly upward if needed. You can almost guarantee that she can always do a soft landing. Let's just say she can make herself a big old tripwire, make herself into a literal slingshot. Her power isn't necessarily super strength like her husband, so she's not going to have crazy flashy feats like this guy. But it's little stuff like this people don't notice, slinging men around like nothing. Literally leg kicked her motorcycle in the air. Part of this was because of her rubberiness, but she was kind of able to keep the RV with her rubber power like this. So now that you know what her stretchy body can support, you know she can hit hard, like how she's able to one-shot knock this guy out. One kick can launch these beings. You can argue one of the few beings that is up there with Mr. Incredible. She was kind of helped pull him. To show that she gotta be superhuman to even do this to this strong being, I would say it's fair. She should be able to at least punch through a decently thick brick wall, one could say, or kick through it. She's not even in the best position here, and she still can hit this hard and knock this being out. You know how in real life beings have to punch to get leverage? She can knock beings out this easily. I mean, she can basically do like slingshot type stuff to make her hits harder, like how she did to this Omni Droid to increase her strikes even further. And due to her stretchy ability, wouldn't you argue, don't you think it's possible that she can blow her limbs up with air maybe to increase the size or mass of her fist? You think this is possible? This is only in theory though. We ain't seen her do this. It's a case like this where it looks like she made her hand bigger. You can look at it like her power is a hack, like being's way stronger than her physically. When she's mind controlled, she can give them issues because of her rubbery nature. Wouldn't you agree? If you're one of those people that think it's possible, she should at least be able to one punch and devastate a giant house or a normal sized house, right? Part of the reason why she can hit hard could be because of battle IQ. She literally knew to close her eyes. Does a decent good job at fighting even when her eyes is closed.
This is a good example of battle IQ. This being is making portals so she can't land a hit. She curved her fist in time. So even when she made a portal, it didn't matter. That's combat IQ. Like literally trapped in the door, she still puts in work using their gun to hit them, knows that this is a face. Boom. Now, it depends on how you perceive this. We know that Mr. Incredible can withstand a lot of weight on him. Things that weigh thousands of tons, his body can withstand that kind of pressure without shattering. Now, obviously, Mr. Incredible isn't trying to kill his wife, obviously, so he's obviously holding back, and it's hard to tell if these hits are actually hurting Mr. Incredible. Mrs. Incredible is in mind control. She seems to be able to just stagger him though, but it doesn't seem to do too much. So it depends on how you want to look at this. Do you think she can sting him with her hits or what? I know this is a strength feat, but he's durable enough to withstand 1,000 tons pressing on him without his bones shattering. And she's able to, looks like it stings him. Let's lowball it for the sake of argument. Say he can withstand thousands of tons. If we assume she can hit with 1/10 that, she'll be able to hit with hundreds of tons of force still. You see what I mean? It's really no exact math. I'm just doing rough estimations for you to get an understanding of how hard she would have to hit this, even sting him. This is really a guesstimation, but you could argue she can hit with 100 tons of force. Do you think I'm reaching? How hard do you think she can hit based on that? I mean, yeah, she can't really do too much damage to Mr. Incredible, so take it as you will. You can argue her durability is more impressive than her punching power. Missiles that can literally level buildings. She shielded her kids from this explosion to the point where the kids were fine, but she was briefly knocked out for a second. So this one can say this close to her limit. She seems to have at least superhuman reaction time or reflexes, or one can argue fighting speed. Because her son is a literal speedster, she was able to stop him from moving when he was in mid-moving because her son is faster than bullets. This big robot she avoids attacks from, these plasma bolts she's reacting to, moving out the way of a helicopter router. Matter of fact, in her files, one of the things she seems to specialize is agility. She removes both these beings' masks on her own. Yeah, everybody, what do you guys think? How strong do you think she is? What do you guys think? How strong do you think she is? Don't judge me. I personally think she could punch away the side of a building like this. Since The Incredibles is basically Pixar's Fantastic Four, Violet, one of the children of The Incredibles, is the invisible woman of the group. I mean, she literally produces force fields. Her muscle isn't her strong suit, but she can kind of get the jump on people by going invisible. We've seen, in a way, her punches can hurt worse because a hit hurts a lot worse when you're not braced for it. When you think of Violet, you think of force fields, defense, or durability because of force fields, right? But these same force fields she can use to increase her striking power and make her hits harder. So in a way, you can kind of look at it, whatever she can defend against, she can kind of blast with similar force, you could argue. Offensively. Like she can legit knock Dash in the air and lift him up with her force fields. Whatever her muscles lack, her force fields can lift up. She has the blast power to open up walls. So it's only fair to look at her durability. She can shield from even lava type stuff. She's the reason why she can soften falls. Trying to shoot guns at her ain't gonna work. She's literally bulletproof with this shield. You see her blocking the guns here. Her force fields are durable. She blocked these electric blasts and this being known as Crusher telekinesis trying to crush her. Somebody that can bend these pipes like this, for example. That's who she was blocking from. Heck, she can even put a force field around the person that's shooting to make him shock himself. These aircrafts from Syndrome, her shield that can deflect these aircrafts. Let's just say Violet is the defense of the group. She's always the one shielding herself and the whole family. Matter of fact, this explosion at the end of the Incredibles movie, she's the one that shielded them from an explosion that blew away a house. It actually blew away their house, but her shield was strong enough to withstand this. So if you throw a house-sized explosion at her, she will be able to shield from it. Matter of fact, it can get even worse. There's these Omni droids, right? These robots are ridiculously heavy. I estimated my own calculation to be at least 1,000 tons. I'm lowballing it on purpose. These Omni droids can support their own weight. Like you see these legs are supporting all of this weight. So you can say these arms can hit with or support close to 1,000 tons or a few hundred tons of force, you could say. And when it comes to Violet, she's able to shield from this. A couple hits with the Omni droid that's caving in the ground. You can even see the ground caving in. She's still shielding. It eventually overpowered her by putting all the weight on it though. But right here, this could imply she can shield from, you could argue 500 or even close to 1,000 tons of force. If you want to look at it like this, you could say her shields can withstand 2 million pounds of pressure without breaking. For a little while at least, until it actually does break. That's like saying her shields can withstand the weight of 30 hunchback whales ramming on her shield at the same time. She seems to have limits on how big she can make the force field. Like she can't make a force field as wide as a plane. I would totally believe her shields are durable enough, but they just can't get wide enough to protect them from the plane. I totally think her shields can withstand building crushing type of explosions or missiles. Do you think it's fair to say whatever she can shield with, she can blast with similar force? I mean, she can use it like a form of telekinesis, kind of. Y'all thought I was joking when I said she can use her force fields like telekinesis? Oh, that wasn't A joke, by the way.
Or like a form of blast power. Like you can see how she can just kind of toss people around with it. We see her use it as blades to cut up some debris to save some people. I think it's fair to say whatever she can shield with her blasts are the same. She can use that stuff offensively, you could say. I would say a good estimation, since she did get overpowered by that Omni Droid, I would say she should be at least be able to blast with over 700 tons of force. Or in dummy terms, you could say she could blast with 1,000,000 pounds of force.
I mean, she was the one that was able to bust the family out of being captured, like in the situation with Syndrome. So you know she's pretty powerful when she's the one that busts out of this containment that Mr. Incredible couldn't get out of. I would say her defense got to be pretty good too. She has to avoid opponents, or she has to be able to put her shield up fast enough before they can hit her. She's fast enough to react to her own family members. Nobody ever notices this, but this takes good reflexes, because look how fast she would have had to put that up. I guess you could say her weakness is that her clothes don't turn invisible too, unless she's wearing her super suit. Her super suit is really durable, by the way. It can't even get messed up from the garbage disposal. And a good way to reveal her location is a fire extinguisher. If it's raining outside, you can still have a campfire with her, you could say. Oh yeah, she can make more than one force field at the same time, by the way.
How strong do you think she'll be when she's 30 or 25?
There's a good argument to be made that he can even hit harder than his own dad, Mr. Incredible, just from the sheer speed alone.
In the Incredibles family, you know, the superpowered family in the Incredibles universe each have their own set of abilities that makes them unique. The character I want to go over today is the speedster of the family known as Dash. So let's get into it. His dad is the muscle of the group. So when you think of how strong Dash is, you probably think, oh, he ain't that strong. He can't lift a lot of weight, or he ain't got a lot of muscle. Well, that's not really important, because I say this a lot in my videos, but like a famous anime character have said in the past, speed is weight. When you're fast enough, you can generate a lot of force with your raw speed. That's kind of how like Dash is. He's ridiculously fast in just straight line point A to point B speed, like running speed. Like he can easily win track races if he wanted to, but he has to hold back on purpose. Combat speed and running in a straight line isn't the same thing. Dash is a speedster. He's fast in both regards. That's important for him. He can run fast, and his reflexes all match up. These are small examples of his combat speed on how he can change his clothes that quick. That's reflexes. You know he has fast hands when he can eat that quick. Like everything about him is fast. There's plenty of examples of his speed. Like he's literally like the motor in this situation, with his mom being the boat. He made like a dust tornado in this particular situation when he was working together with the family. While running, he's fast enough to dodge Violet's force fields, even though he don't see where they're coming from. This is a clear example of him using his combat speed while running fast too. We've seen him save an old lady. He's so fast he can run upside down before he has time to fall. He plays catch with his dad. His dad threw the ball farther than the eye could see. He was still fast enough to get it. Let's lowball this and assume Mr. Incredible threw the football, just the football field's length. And that's like he covered that in about 2 seconds. And he covered all this and then came back to his dad after the throw. Bare minimally, this would be 245 miles per hour. And I'm severely lowballing this on purpose because I don't want to overhype it, but it looked like Mr. Incredible threw it farther than football's field length. Based on this clip, like he went far, and that was really quick. This is assuming 2 seconds at a football's field length. I'm severely lowballing this. If we assume he did this in 1 second, this bare minimally is calculated to be 490 miles per hour, and I'm lowballing him. So yeah, he's definitely faster than 400 miles per hour. Let's be real. It makes sense because he's fast enough to run on water. He's consistently shown to be able to move like a blur, looking like straight up teleportation at times. This is basically a multitask feat. When his dad threw the remote, he was dodging laser or plasma bolts while doing this, while running across water, not really looking at the lasers. The villain Syndrome, the super genius of the movie, made these super fast pods that Dash had to outrun for an extended amount of time. There's implications that Dash is faster than the speed of sound, because he's literally too fast for the camera recording to see him move between frames. Don't judge me, but I did my own personal calculations with the AI system that I use personally. I pretty much calculated what distance you would need to go if you was to assume somebody can move 15 feet and back before a 30 frames per second camera had time to register that you even move. The bare minimum speed in order to be invisible to a 30 frames per second camera like this would be bare minimally over 600 miles per hour. Wouldn't this be a fair estimation to assume he can be completely invisible to a 30 frames per second camera? 600 miles per hour sounds about right, close to the speed of sound, you know. There's still implications that this isn't Dash's top speed. You know, like rockets we have in real life, right? You see the fire that's coming out of it? Have you ever wondered how fast this fire right here is coming out? That speed? You ever wondered that? Do me a favor and Google exhaust velocity. You will be shocked on how fast this crap is coming out. This is important for Dash because we literally see Dash outrun this same fire from a rocket. The rocket exhaust
The speed of which of this stuff comes out, you can Google it yourself. I'm not lying. It can range from 5,000 to 10,000 miles per hour, y'all. Dash outrunning this would mean that his speed would not only be faster than the speed of sound, but there's implications he can move 7 to even 13, up to 13 times faster than the speed of sound. I want you for a second to imagine somebody with this kind of speed throwing their fist at your face this fast. Like, imagine that. You know he can hit hard. Yeah, Dash doesn't have that many striking feats to really go off of, but based on his speed, based on all this stuff I've talked about, you can kind of give some kind of estimation on what he could possibly punch with. It's honestly shocking he's not punching holes in these guys' faces. Yeah, it's a kid movie. He's probably holding back. He's not a murderer, I guess. Like, his punches would be a lot scarier if he was older. Like, he's a little person with a little bit of body weight. I want you to visually picture something that's less than a pound, something that's 5 ounces, like a baseball. A baseball going at you at 90 miles per hour would be equal to about 200 pounds of raw force if it hits you in the face. There's actually people in real life that can throw a baseball at 90 miles per hour. Baseball players. Something that's less than a pound, thrown with enough speed, can be equivalent to 200 pounds hitting you. That's what I'm talking about when I say speed is weight. Something this light, less than a pound, going at 90 miles per hour can hit with this much force. Now, imagine something or somebody that's over 200 times heavier hitting you at a higher level of speed. Now, this isn't something we've seen Dash do, but I'm just talking about via speculation. He has super speed. If he just put all his body weight in his speed, ran at you at 90 miles per hour, let's just assume his full body weight. Let's assume he ran at you at 90 miles per hour. I'm not even talking about his top speed. Let's just assume 90 miles per hour. So if Dash was to put all his weight into his punch and use his super speed and ram into you, a 70-pound body, I'm assuming he's only 70 pounds. I'm really lowballing his body weight. I'm assuming he's only 70 pounds, a human-sized body coming at you at 90 miles per hour. He would be able to produce, via my own personal calculations with AI, he'll be able to produce 14 tons of force just going 90 miles per hour, y'all. Now, we can hypothetically speculate if he was to do the same thing like this, but at 700 miles per hour, the number would vastly go up. With my personal calculations, it would go up to over 110 tons of force with his raw speed if he was to hit you close to the speed of sound, 700 miles per hour. This is enough force to like flip a tank or even crush a tank with his raw speed if he was to just ram at you at that speed. If somebody was to start off right here at this point, build up velocity with his running speed at his mass and weight, was to start running this way, build up velocity, 700 miles per hour. By the time he hits the impact of the thing, he would hit with this over 100 tons of force type of power. That's what I'm talking about with Dash. He would essentially be like a walking missile and just drill through your entire house. And I'm still technically only assuming his best is 700 miles per hour. The fact he can outrun that exhaust velocity, I kind of already told you, it implies he can hit even faster or move even faster. The lower end being 7 times faster than the speed of sound. What would his hit feel like then? Based on a whole bunch of boring math you probably don't care about, the force he would hit would be over 800 tons of force going 7 times the speed of sound. That's essentially saying Dash hitting you with this level of speed would feel like 14 of these tanks falling on your face all at the same time. The weight of all these tanks multiplied by 14 and landing on your face. And then if we assume the higher end being 13 times the speed of sound, doing a whole bunch of math you probably don't care about, is an estimation if he was to actually ram into you at 13 times the speed of sound, which is a higher end, he would be able to produce 1,500 tons of force. We're talking about Dash getting punching power close to the level of the weight of these Omnidroids we saw in the Incredibles movie. These things are pretty tall. We're talking about his punches with his raw speed being the weight of this or greater, or close to this weight. If Dash was to use his powers correctly, he would have enough force to actually collapse a skyscraper building if he actually ran at something at this speed and his durability doesn't give out. His durability might not be able to handle this speed ramming into something. No, yeah, that could be his only weakness, you could say. Speed truly does equal weight. Somebody can make an argument he might be able to be hit as hard as his own dad, but that's none of my business. But just in case you think I'm glazing him too hard or wanking him too hard, if you really want to assume he can't really go 13 times faster than the speed of sound based on that exhaust velocity type of thing right there, if you're not convinced of that, his punching power at 700 miles per hour is still insane though. He would still technically be able to hit with over hundreds of tons of force, like a whole tank or a couple tanks falling on your face still. So it would still be a lot, even if we lowballed him all the way down to speed of sound level at best. A lot more than the movies really portrayed though. You can tell that the super suits the Incredibles wear are really durable, being fireproof, bulletproof, can withstand a lot of friction because of his speed. I mean, imagine a teenage Dash. He's always trolling all the time. Imagine a Dash that's like 190 pounds and crap. But we're not trying to have this discussion about him being faster than lightning too, though. He might have just been aim dodging, but what do you think? You could say teleporters could be his weakness when it comes to raw speed. like his brother, maybe his full potential will be realized. Maybe he can't punch at maximum speed because he would bust his arm off trying to punch at that speed, but he technically couldn't move that fast though. In a family full of super beings, the baby of the family, Jack Jack, is their version of Marvel's Fantastic Four's Franklin Richards. He clearly has more strength than he should for a baby. He's literally overpowering a raccoon as a baby, so he has super strength. Like, we see him move these chairs. Jack Jack can power up, change forms, like a demon form, overpower grown men like Syndrome, who was the villain of the verse, ripping his hair out and everything, messing up his boots. He can go into a metal mode and increase his density, increase his durability. He can get really small. He has his own form to where he can inflate himself and turn into the Blob. So he has to be stronger just to be able to support his own weight, honestly, in this shape-shifted larger form. He can turn into his very own Juggernaut and bulldozer through walls, so it proves he can hit hard enough to go through walls at least. And it's implied he's still strong enough to bust through walls, even when he's not in large form, because you see how he got smaller. And he still had a hole in the wall, you see. He was getting smaller as he was running. Not to mention he's strong enough to move while he's enlarged like this. Just like how he can hit hard with this physical strength or striking power, this goes for his biting power. His blast power, like, it melts through anything. It seems to have heated properties to it. Laser vision, you can see it melt through this table. The family even uses him like a weapon. The limits of how hard he can punch is really unknown. We don't really got no screen time for him. He's a baby. It's probably going to get worse as he gets older. But his blast power, punching power is still pretty decent, especially for a baby his size. When we're talking versatility, he can unleash electricity, cause vibrations or distortions, go intangible, and even go through Violet's force fields. Consistent teleporter, to where even the speedster of the group has trouble getting him via teleportation. Jack Jack literally goes into a parallel dimension to where they got to use a device to track him down while he's in this parallel dimension. He can do shadow clone jutsu, make a whole bunch of versions of himself, duplication. His sneezes are like rocket boosters, can float, has telekinesis, just bullying this raccoon, can do some Martian the Manhunter type stuff and straight up shapeshift, copy your face, your features, make himself look just like you. Seems to have its own firework form, putting out the power like an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, electromagnetism, can straight up turn into rubber, can turn into liquid form, smoke form, call him Smoker from One Piece, can turn into his own version of the Human Torch, his fire form. He seems to be able to use this with conjunction of his super strength, because even when he's flaming, he still can kind of sling chairs farther than he technically should be for a baby. He has his own Incredible Hulk demon-like form he turns into. Like, we see him overpower this super, for example. Jack Jack seems to be pretty smart being able to do these security measures like this. That's funny. You would be surprised on how smart Jack Jack is, being able to tell his mama isn't in her right state of mind. I bet you didn't notice during this whole occasion with the raccoon, Jack Jack never got any scratches on him. Yo, he could be a speedster of the team too. Like, look at that speed. He probably has faster than sound type reflexes. He was able to react to Dash, blitzing at him. Do you think Jack Jack is destined to be the strongest Incredibles family member? I want to hear your thoughts below. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.